Hey guys, what is up? This is Cody, or xCodeh. How's it going today? Hopefully everybody watching this video is having yourself a snazzy day. Sorry for no face cam today. It's 4:30 a.m. and I wanted to make a commentary. On today's life story commentary, got one of the stories that has been highly requested for me to tell you guys. I've been seeing a lot of comments, a lot of tweets asking me to tell you guys the story of the first time I ever did mushrooms. It's a very interesting topic, and it's also really cool to see that there's some places in America that are decriminalizing them. So hopefully this video gets thrown into recommended on a couple viral mushroom videos, but either way, let's get on with the story. So this took place back around when I was about 15 years old, way too young to be doing anything like this. But back when I was about 15, I was super interested in psychedelics. I thought that they were something from out of this world. I was really interested in them, doing all sorts of research, asking every friend that I knew that did it how their experience was, what they saw, what they felt. I remember searching all over the internet for everything I could possibly find, all the information I could absorb. And it was, the typical standard day, chilling, smoking weed, nothing to do, ran out of weed, hit up the plug, yo bro, you got some kush? What's up dog? Don't got any kush, but do you know what I got? Got some mushrooms. My eyes lit up, I was super excited. Hell yeah dude, I'll buy what you got. We ventured on over to his house. Walked in, he was smoking weed. I was like, well, thought you didn't have any weed, man. Of course he had weed. He just wanted to sell me these mushrooms. I don't know how much he had, but he just had a bowl going around. We all took a hit, chilling, having a good time, and he whips out this bag of mushrooms. I'm like all nervous and everything. I think it's super badass that he has mushrooms because they're super illegal. I remember I bought an eighth of them, and we were just chilling, finishing the bowl, and then he kind of kicked us out. And I remember as soon as we got outside of his house, I whipped out the bag. I was all excited. It was the first time me and my homie had ever even seen mushrooms in person. And we started the venture back to the downtown area of my town. On the way, I was all over my phone, looking at all sorts of websites, how to eat them, how to do everything, how to make sure you don't have a bad trip. I was really afraid of that. We got about to the downtown area, and then we got picked up by my homie's dad, which was a blessing. Okay, it was a really hot day, I remember that. We get back to my friend's house, and then I start to bitch out. Then I start to get really nervous. I start reading all sorts of stuff, how they can make you sick, and I didn't want to deal with that. I didn't want to take something that would make me feel like shit. And after 20, 30 minutes of my homie convincing me that it'd be fine, you'd be completely alright, finally got the courage up. We went to his kitchen, got some bread, got some peanut butter, put that bitch on a half sandwich, crushed up the mushrooms a little bit, put them on, started eating them. Tasted like a peanut butter sandwich with hay in it. It was like you walk through a petting zoo and you know that smell you get? That's how it tasted. I remember reading that you're supposed to chew them really thoroughly and they're easier on your stomach. So I'm sitting there just chewing them up and my friend just inhales the entire thing. And I look at him like, damn, dude. So pretty close to my homie's house. There's a lot of nature trails, a lot of places to walk, a lot of things to do. It was coming up on 7 or 8 o'clock at night. It was getting dark outside. We venture off to the bike path and we start walking. I'm super nervous at this point, absolutely terrified that something's going to go wrong. I'm going to have a bad trip, freak out, have to go to the hospital. Crazy stuff, man. My mind was all over the place. I was smoking cigarettes back to back to back, patiently but nervously waiting for the mushrooms to kick in. I remember we were about halfway to the next part of the story, and I started to feel a little weird. You feel a little giggly, a little weird. Your mind just starts feeling like there's almost like there's something wrong. You just kind of feel a little on edge. We ended up all the way to this lake spot, which is where a lot of these kind of stories happened. And we're chilling, sitting by the lake, just waiting for the shrooms to kick in. And then we hear people talking. We look over and we see a bunch of phone lights just in the pitch darkness, and one of our hangout spots actually. So we walk over there to see if it's one of our friends, and it's 5 or 6 of the people we used to hang out with every day. It was awesome. We go up there, yo, what's good, dude? They're all passing a bowl around. We take a hit, and then it really started to hit me. I remember when I was standing there, my friend was laughing, having a good time, feeling like he was tripping, and I was kind of just standing away from everybody. Just looking around because everything looked a little bit weird. Everything was pitch dark around me, but people's phone screens looked so bright. It was like I was looking at the sun, and everybody had their phone out, so it was like this giant light source, and I'm sitting there just looking at everybody's faces and everything, and just feeling really weird, feeling really on edge, I was almost really uncomfortable. And at that point, I was starting to worry oh man, I'm that dude that's just standing away from everybody. I gotta go in and have a conversation. So I walk up to one of my friends and I'm like, hey dude, what's up? And he's like, yo, how you feeling, man? You tripping yet? And I was like, yeah, man, I'm feeling something here, dude. I feel pretty weird. And I remember looking down at his phone screen, and it was shattered to all hell, bro. It was terrible. Like, I don't know how the fuck he was using it at that point. Like, it looked like so broken to the point where if you ran your thumb across it, it would just slice your finger open. I don't know if it was the mushrooms or what, but his phone was fucked up. And I just couldn't stop looking at the cracks in his phone and the light beaming through it. It just looked so bright. Brighter than any phone screen ever. And after talking to him for about 5 minutes, he kind of joined the other people's conversations. I went back to just kind of standing alone. And then I just felt more and more uncomfortable. Kind of like the feeling that you're inside a really small room with a lot of people. Or almost like you're in the general admission pit to a concert where there's just people all around you and you just kind of feel nervous. I don't know if you feel that way at a concert, but that's how I feel. And it kind of messed with me a little bit because I didn't understand why I was feeling like that, because we were outside. There was only 4 people there. Like, we weren't in an enclosed space, but this giant light source here kind of made it feel like I was inside. So I walk over to my homie that I went there with and I'm like, hey dude, we should keep going. We should keep walking on the path or something. And he didn't really want to because he was having an amazing time. Like, he was tripping at that point. The effects hit him a lot sooner than it hit me. I'm thinking that maybe he got a little bit more or something like that. But after saying it like 3 or 4 times, he was like, all right, guys, we got to go. You know, we got to keep walking and enjoy the trip. I was so relieved that we could leave. And then we walked down to the lake spot, and then I started to feel a little nauseous. I think it was just my mind just thinking about it over and over again. And you know, they didn't call me the Altoids man for no reason. Whipped out the Altoids. I always had them on deck, always. Gotta have that minty fresh breath. And for some reason, I thought that every time I ate a mint, that I wouldn't feel nauseous. So I was popping them left and right. I probably went through, I'm not even fucking with you, 25 or 30 Altoids. I'm surprised I didn't get a stomachache alone from that. I'm sitting there eating them one after the other, thinking it's gonna help. And it did a little bit, it did. We just kept walking on the path, and this is where my friend started to really trip. He was saying that he was seeing patterns in the trees and different colors. And I'm looking up, and I didn't really see much. You know, I saw a little bit of waviness. I saw a little bit of small patterns here and there, like in the clouds where the moon was shining through. The moon looked like a fucking light bulb in the sky. Every time I've ever done psychedelics and it's like a clear sky, the moon just illuminates everything. It's incredible. And I remember we got to this fence. I'll always remember this. We got to this fence. My homie was like hanging on to the fence, and I was just kind of standing in the path. He was giggling, laughing, having a good time, and I was just sitting there really thinking about my life. I was thinking about everything. I was thinking about my friendships, my relationship I was currently in. I was thinking about everything, and I almost got too deep in my mind because I started to get a little bit of emotional. I wasn't like crying or anything, but I was sitting there like, holy shit. It was like my mind was so clear, was so relaxed that I could think of everything I wanted to very clearly, and it was like answers were almost coming to me. And like at the same time, I wasn't like tripping really hard, so I wasn't really influenced by these thoughts that much. But at the same time, I was like, wow, like this is why people do this, because you could just think about things and not worry at the same time. Like you could just only focus on that question that you have and get an answer to it. And I also remember feeling really disappointed because my friend was seeing things, laughing, having a great time, and I was just sitting there in my head. And I didn't really understand why. And after we left that fence, that's when things started to pick up. That's when things got a little bit better. So we started to walk back towards his house, and on the way we stopped at another one of his friends' house that I didn't really know that well. This was one of the first times I ever met him. He was a really, really nice dude. He was super into psychedelics, and as soon as we showed up, he was like, yo, what are you guys on right now? My friend laughs and says mushrooms. He's like, yo, you did that shit without hitting me up, man? I see how it is. And then I explained to him that we only had an eighth, and you know, you got to split an eighth of shrooms to see the universe, so we didn't really have that much. If we had like an abundance of them, then we would have definitely shared with him. And I think it was him that put me in the more positive vibe because he was so friendly. He was just so open to conversation, and we ended up hanging out for a little bit. We went downstairs to his basement where he had like a bunch of chairs set up and everything, and we're just sitting there laughing, having a great time, just talking about random stuff. I remember looking at my phone screen on the selfie camera and my eyes, that they were so dilated and huge. And in the middle of the basement on the ceiling, there's this light with one of those strings that you pull, you know, like the standard basement light. and my friend pulls it, and like, I don't really like the dark. All right, listen, I'm not like afraid of the dark, but like, I'm not a huge fan of being in a creepy basement in the pitch black. And he turns it off, and he's like, whoa, look at all that, man. You see that? And I'm looking up, and I'm like, no, what are you talking about? He's like, dude, you don't see the patterns? Look at all the colors, dude. Oh my God. And I'm sitting there like, no, I'm not really seeing that. Like, I was still in a really great mood, but I was really disappointed that I wasn't seeing cool shit, because that was like one of the main reasons I wanted to do it. Not the reason you should, by the way. And it was definitely not just pitch black. Like, I definitely saw some patterns, some things, but it was just very not vivid. It was very minuscule. And I remember walking into the other part of the basement with the lights on just because I wanted to not be in the pitch black for no reason. Like, it was literally just sitting in a dark room. I didn't want to be there. So I walked into the other room, and I was still in a great mood. I was sitting there talking to the other friend and just laughing at the stupidest shit. I remember there was a toy horse in the basement, and I was sitting on it, rocking back and forth, laughing. And I don't remember whose bright idea it was. This honestly sounds like something I would have done at the time. We went over to one of the dryers that was in the basement, popped it open. There was a bunch of tie-dye shirts. It was like destiny. It was like, holy shit, dude, we're tripping and we found tie-dye shirts, dude. We're taking them out, laughing, and we ended up grabbing like a handful. Very scummy, okay, I know, I realize, but we were like tripping, dude, you know? I remember being so blown away that we just found tie-dye shirts. So after stealing the shirts and laughing about it like a sadistic asshole, we went back to my friend's house, and that's where the trip kind of settled down. It was getting towards the end of it. I was feeling a little bit more normal. My thoughts were getting more normal. And we were pretty tired from walking around. I remember it was like 4-5 hours of just straight up walking through the woods, walking down paths. And I have a really vivid memory of laying on my homie's couch. And at that point, it was really late, so my friend wanted to go to sleep. And I was like, all right, that sounds good. I'm pretty tired as well. I remember we drank a shitload of water too. We got back and we were drinking hella water. But I have a really vivid memory of laying on my homie's couch, just looking up. It was like pretty dark, maybe like one light on in the other room, and I was just looking up and I was like, well, that's what it's all about. You know, all those stories and everything I've heard and everything I've read about, that's what it was. On a scale of 1 to 10 for intensity, I'd probably give it like a 5. It really wasn't much. Looking back on it though, I think that we got mostly stems, which I've heard there's not really a huge, you know, scientifically proven difference between the stems and the caps, but you know, general consensus is that the caps often have more visuals. So I was thinking my friend had a little bit more than me, or he had just more caps in his little half peanut butter sandwich. And as I went to sleep, I remember the only feeling that I had was there was just something that wasn't supposed to be there in my stomach. That's about it. I didn't really feel sick or anything. It was just kind of like if you drank spoiled milk or something, and it was just like, it's there, it's not causing an issue, but it just doesn't feel good. Maybe spoiled milk isn't the best analogy there, but you ever drink spoiled milk? That shit's terrible. Go down to pour a bowl of cereal, pour in the milk, it's all fucking chunky, you take a bite and just want to die. Terrible. So that was the first time I ever did mushrooms. I have a couple other stories to tell you guys that were definitely more intense. One of the times we almost all got arrested. That time was, oh my god, that time was terrible. I mean, the trip was amazing, but just the ending was just terrible, so leave a like on the video if you guys enjoyed and if you guys want me to tell more stories like this. And really quick before this video ends, I'd like to talk about mushrooms as a whole, just because whenever I talk about anything that's not weed or anything like that, I don't want to make this video to make you want to do it. I don't want you to watch this video and then, oh dude, I gotta go do that because I saw some YouTuber talk about it. It was just a really interesting time, and I thought I'd tell you guys the story because I know a lot of you guys are interested in it. And what I can say is I do not recommend doing them as a kid. There's no reason to be thinking that hard and just being on a trip when you're that young because you're a kid, man. You don't really need to be thinking about that kind of stuff, bro. You gotta enjoy your childhood and not do drugs. Don't be a jabroni like I was. And I know there's gonna be a lot of people that are like, dude, there's nothing wrong with them. Why are you even saying that? Listen, okay, in my position as a YouTuber, it just would not be a good look if I made a video telling all my viewers to go out and do something like that. Hopefully you understand. Let me know in the comments down below if you've ever had a shroom experience, some crazy story you want to tell me in the comments. And also, huge thank you to everybody who's supporting me on Patreon. I'll put the names on screen right now. Your support really, really helps me out, and I can't thank you guys enough. I get asked the question a lot, will I ever do it again? You know, will I ever do mushrooms again? And to the answer to the question, I'm not sure of anytime soon. I don't really want to do psychedelics anytime soon, just because my anxiety has gotten a lot worse over the years, and doing something like that, you're in a completely different mindset, and your mind pretty much takes over. Not that I've had just like all bad experiences. For the most part, they've been pretty good, except one time. One time was just absolutely terrible. I'll have to tell you guys that story sometime as well. But to answer the question if I'm going to do them anytime soon, the answer is probably no. But either way, this is going to be a long ass video for me to edit. A lot of gameplay. Hopefully I get something good for you guys to watch. Do me a huge favor and leave a like on the video if you guys enjoyed, and also follow my cat on Instagram. It's right on the screen. You can't miss it, okay? Also, drink some water today. It's very important. You need it to survive, alright? So do it. Thanks for spending the time out of your day to watch my video. I hope to see you guys in the next one. Stay high, stay lifted, and stay snazzy. Peace.